Hello and welcome to another episode of the Brett Campbell Show. We're in for a treat today. I am speaking actually with one of our amazing clients that we have here at Claxon. Today's guest is Shiran Faast. She is the co-founder and CEO of Aqua Gardening. So an amazing business up in Brisbane. And in this episode we talk. We actually recorded this interview a little while ago in the midst of COVID. And we actually went up to Shiran's business because a number of things happened. They were in a phase in their business where they're about to really grow and look to grow and expand their locations throughout the country. Then, of course, COVID hit and things changed. They came to us a little bit prior to COVID, luckily enough for them. And look to create a digital marketing strategy to actually grow and expand their e-commerce online side of things within their business. And what happened was nothing short of remarkable. The results are absolutely, I'm going to save it for the episode, but literally within, a very short period of time, Claxon, combined with Aqua Gardening, of course, were able to exponentially transform their business and change the way in which they do business moving forward. So if you are an offline business or you're an e-commerce business, this episode is definitely for you. We talk about how they actually handled the entire COVID period, which is always good. They're timeless principles, so not just not just useful for that COVID period itself, but more so for business. Whenever you run into any particular obstacles, how do you handle it as a CEO? How do you handle it as a business owner? So I'll leave it at that, but it was a great episode. And before you do though, please, as always, if you haven't yet, please head over to iTunes, drop us a 5-star review and a comment. Really appreciate it. And also take a screenshot of you listening to this, upload it to Instagram stories, tag me at Brett Campbell Official. That's all you need to do. And now, in return, I'm going to give you an epic episode with one of our amazing clients, Shiran Faast from Aqua Gardening. Let's go. Shiran, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here, first and foremost. This is a first for us, recording on site here at the beautiful Aqua Gardening headquarters, taking a bit of a transition. Give us a bit of a, for the listeners, who's Shiran? Who's Aqua Gardening? What do you guys even do here?
So my name is Shiran. I'm owning Aqua Gardening together with my husband. Aqua Gardening basically is in the vision and the mission of making everyone a gardener. We started as a small store in Brisbane, and the biggest purpose we had was how do we make this industry of aquaponics, hydroponics and ponds and in general gardening to be something that everyone can do. I'm personally never been a green thumb. I grew up in a city where you can't really grow anything. I grew up in a desert as well, so that's a completely different, like no fucking way you can grow anything. And so for me to actually getting exposed to that whole industry was an amazing journey because I could actually grow my food. I don't need to put too much effort into it. And I felt like, this is something that everyone needs to know about. You can't keep it as a top secret. We can't stay at a tiny store in Pickering Street anymore because there is something in here and we just need to make it into an industry that everyone can just start to do at home and not just a DIY sort of industry. So that's what brought us to building this or redesigning our store now, is to giving that place where people can really have a chat with someone that have a bit of knowledge to customize your garden to, first of all, fit it to your lifestyle, to your space.
I think that's the interesting thing. I want to jump on there because I've been here for a couple of hours and we're just in the middle, for the people who can't see, but you're in the middle of a brand new renovation which looks absolutely spectacular. Already in the conversations that we've started to have around, what does this do? Why are those fish there? The fish is actually providing growth to these plants, like the fish poo, and you hit the nail on the head. It's the education around it, right? So before I get into that, though, you've got the vision is to make everyone a gardener. Why? Why do you want to make everyone a gardener? Is it because there's just better quality food, or is it better for this, environment? What makes you?
Well, something that I never realized before is what is the food journey to our plate. The only thing I always, I love cooking. So for me,
Right. I love eating, so we're a good match.
Yeah. So for me, every time I remember, you know, when you buy food from the veggies versus buying it from like an organic market, you can taste the difference in flavor.
Right.
And when you cook with like a good tomato versus a crappy tomato, you can actually feel the difference. I can see it with my 2-year-old. He will pick up a tomato from the garden, and if you will try to give him a cherry tomato from the punnet, his face go like,
Right.
And you can see that he even noticed the difference. So there is definitely a difference between what you get from store-bought tomatoes and or in any veggies. For me, when I started to realize that when you actually grow your own, the flavor is incredibly different into a better way, I realized that everyone should try that, especially now when, you know, we all want to have long life, and a lot of us try to eat healthy, but we don't realize that when we buy kale from the supermarket, it's been sprayed with tons of pesticides. And even if you buy organic, it doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't being sprayed. There's lots of rules out there that allow to protect the crop for the farmer and do allow them to spray those crops to save them from failure. Otherwise, their businesses will collapse. And when I started to really look into the journey of what's going on with like a tomato from the moment it's been cut from the vine, and I started to grow my own food at home, I realized, wait a second, how is the one I grow at home doesn't look like the one from the shops? How is the one from the shops always look so perfect? And then I started to look at how it's related to my own health. And I noticed the difference between not just the flavor, but also like what I'm putting into my body. And I don't know if whoever listens to this podcast is really interested in your gut health, but I realized that this is our second brain and everything is controlled from there. So for me to be a very switched on person, I need to eat healthy. And for me to eat healthy, it's mean I need to grow my own food. And when we moved to Brisbane, we lived in a tiny apartment in West End, and we wanted to grow our own food like we used to do in the Barossa Valley when we had lots of land. Realized, how can I actually make that happen? And the only way for that was actually aquaponics. And you could grow tons of food in a small space. It doesn't even really matter if you have sun, if you don't have sun, because you can get supplementary light. And the fact with aquaponics that it can actually be more sustainable, you can grow your own protein as well as your veggies, that's for me, it's just been an industry that I never thought I would be fascinated in, and it just completely hooked me.
And how old's the business?
So the business exists in 1995, and we bought it in 2014. We've actually been a customer. We came there because we wanted to set up an aquaponics system in West End in Brisbane, in our tiny balcony apartment, and we came there to buy certain things and to Aqua Gardening, and we noticed that we still didn't got that. You know, I wish I could just buy a complete kit. I wish I could just have something easy to go. Like, why do I need to have that DIY? Like, why do I need to go and source everything myself? Especially when you don't know what you're doing. Like, Chris he grew up in a house that everything is self-sustainable and aquaponics, so he knew what he's doing. But for me, it was all new. So the first biggest mission we had was to make this industry accessible. So making it into something that everyone can do at home, no matter if you have the green thumb, no matter if you have the handy tools at home. Like, you don't. So
before you bought the business, the industry itself, you're saying, was sort of very complicated for someone who's wanting to get into it.
Yes, definitely. There was no education out there. There was a little bit. There was a really good forums. And for example, when Chris had his journey with his family to set up aquaponics at home, it was all built on forums and what people say, but not what experts say. It's not how people that really trial and then say, this is working, this is not working.
So there's a lot of bro science happening.
Exactly. And you just try along the go, and you do things and you tweak, and it's fun by itself, but there is a lot of people, especially these days, that they just want the good food. We have a customer that recently just decided that he actually moving a house to accommodate for our bigger systems because he wanted to produce for the food for his family.
Oh, wow.
So he had just a house with a balcony. He started with a small system, and they were like, wait, that's working. I'm moving a house, and let's just make something way bigger so I can provide the whole food for my family.
Is it a realistic thing to be able to feed your whole family from your own hydroponic setup at home?
100%.
Right.
Yes. Obviously, you do need to have a bit more space if you really want to completely supplement all of the fruit.
What sort of room space would you need? Like, if you were going to feed husband, wife, couple of kids,
Yeah.
what sort of space would you need
So
to
that's
get?
something actually calculated, and on each of our kits you can actually see how many plants it will make you, what's the size of the family that you like, which kit will suit to the size of the family. So if you're just a
Right.
couple, if you're a family of 4, if you're a family of 8. So we do have different size kits for different size families.
Right.
But with the family aquaponics system, that's designed for like up to 5 people, and that will give you the majority of the fruit and veg you need. And the beauty of these techniques is that you can always extend it. So you can do a lot of plug and play. You can add another grow bed. You can add another,
Right.
connect another pot. Like there is lots of things that you can modify a system to increase the capacity of how much you can grow versus just what you buy to start with.
Does the food grow quicker in it?
100%. It's like 3
Right.
times quicker.
3 times quicker?
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Especially if it's indoors.
That fish
But,
poo
yeah.
it accelerates.
It's not the fish food. It's actually a few things. It's the first thing is that one of the biggest mistake with the conventional soil gardening in your backyard is that you're either overwatering or you're underwatering.
I think I killed a lot of our gardens as a kid.
Yes.
Mum would say go out and water potatoes. I'm just like a fire hose. I'm like, I don't know when's enough. So
And exactly, and I think
Sorry,
another
Mum.
thing with a lot of our backyard soil, and I'm not talking now on people that grow soil gardens that actually been worked for and been enriched with other soil fertilizers. Like they're good soil gardens, there is no doubt about that. But to reach that really good fertile soil, it's not something you can't dig a hole in your backyard and put a plant in. It will just not work. You put water on top, and what happens is that it's all just go to the sides. It doesn't penetrate it in. And the beauty with those systems is that it's regulate the water, and then what happens is that in hydroponic or in aquaponic, the food goes straight to the roots. So instead of having these big roots that go all across the ground, you actually have a smaller root ball, and all the energy of the plant go up because the food goes straight to the roots. So imagine like if you will sit at home and you will just get heaps of food to your table the whole time, you'll get fatter and fatter and fatter. You'll grow quicker versus someone that need to go and hunt for the
two months I was like, yeah, we're good. We went to the shops.
Some people took it to the other way and actually just didn't like lost weight along that. But in general, like you have either the way of like waiting to food to come to you, or you can go and hunt. And people that go and hunt, they will usually be skinnier, leaner, like they will go and try to source the food. So with this, because you give the plant food into the roots straight away, they don't need to put the energy to look for it everywhere. They just put the energy to grow bigger on the top. So that's the main difference. Why? Right. It's not because soil is not growing plants. It definitely does, but not as quick because not all the food is available in that specific spot. And that's why you need to have a lot more spacing in garden beds versus in aquaponic or hydroponic. You can plant them very close to each other because you don't need to allow for all that root space.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting. But there is a reason why a lot of the commercial farmers are moving now to hydroponics and aquaponics as well. That's a big. We have a system that accommodating for micro commercials, and we notice a big spike in people that want to, especially before COVID. People want to get into gardening. They understand how the ability to control the food source is so important, and those techniques are allowing you to really bring food into suburban area. Like in Brisbane, in the Eat Street Market, there is a big container on the top of one of the containers, and it's all indoor garden. And he actually sell the produce from there to the restaurants now.
Right.
So, it's a very cool concept. Yeah,
I like it.
They buy the fertilizers from us.
To close a loop in my head. If I 2 kids, myself and my wife, which I don't have 2 kids, but if I did, what sort of room size do I need? Would I be able to be able to feed us through, assuming we eat moderate, right? What sort of room size? Because I know there's this conception of, and I probably had it myself, hence why I'm asking this question, is that you need a lot of space to be able to do. Because my gardens, well, not mine, my parents' gardens when I was a kid, like it took up half our back lawn. Like it was, we had lettuces and potatoes, everything. But from what I'm seeing already in these trays, like you can fit quite a lot in it. Like, what sort of room space do we need to get something
So that family aquaponics system, I'm not sure exactly the measurement of it. I think it's 3 meter wide by 1.5 deep. and that will feed protein, like fair bit of it during the year.
And it can be done outside as well, right? It's not all just indoor.
Yes.
Right.
The reason why we have everything indoor in here is only because of the location of our store, and we want to show that it's possible to grow everywhere. So if you live in an apartment without windows, it doesn't mean you can't grow food.
Yeah.
You can still do it. You can just do it in a tent and grow everything in there. In fact, I'm so lazy that I prefer to have all of the herbs that I'm cooking with daily to have them indoor, because I don't feel like going to the yard in the evening and take things.
I must be even lazier because I prefer to have the herbs already on the food. Awesome. Yeah. So you guys got into this business. You've got this vision of, again, to make everyone a gardener. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your journey from once you sort of, you're a customer and now you're like, let's buy that place. What's the business journey sort of been like for you?
Well, that's a funny story, because when we came to buy things from Aqua Gardening, we didn't realize the place was for sale. I found that it's for sale on Gumtree when Tony was a very old-fashioned guy, and he put the business for sale on Gumtree. And I was actually looking into my own adventure of building a shoe business, and I had the whole business plan laid down, and I just realized I need tons and tons of money that I don't have.
Yeah.
And Chris was always all about aquaponics and hydroponics. It was built into him. Everything is about self-sustainable. So it was mainly his drive when it's come to the beginning of that journey.
Right.
And when we stepped to the store in the beginning, I was like, well, when we done the cross of like, can we buy it, not buying it, it was very affordable, because it was quite a small business back then. And I thought, you know what, it's a good way to step into an existing business, and it's fulfilling Chris's dream. And he used to be a mining engineer. For him to move from ruining the world in a way to like actually repairing it was something that was very important for him. So I said, you know what, let's give it a shot. Do a quick flip with the business and we'll start my shoe business. But after a few months, I realized that there is no way I'm doing any shoe business, because this is definitely the way I see the future and the way I want to educate my kids. Right. I even go and do workshops in my daughter's daycare all the time, like hydroponic workshops, and show them how they always complain how the possums come and eat everything. So we're moving it indoor to show how that's possible as well.
How important do you believe it is to have a purpose behind? Because I can tell that you guys are absolutely passionate about this, and it's something that you fundamentally feel everyone should know about. How important is it to, because I'm sure you love shoes, but there
was a passion behind the shoes.
How important is it to have a purpose behind what you're doing?
I believe in general, everything you do in life, and that's something we do a lot with the team in here. Like, you're not working here if you're coming just to do a job. Like, there is no just a job here. No matter if you're a picker, no matter if you're a manager, no matter if you're a customer success team, you need to come every day to work with, this is what I do because this is what I love, and it's also what's fulfilling my personal goals, and not just what fulfilling the business goals. Otherwise, you don't have this long-term relationship with your employees or your customers. So if I just want to sell products,
or you don't get the best output from your employees as well.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So if I just want to sell a product, then why do I invest in even having a business? I can just sell a product on Amazon and they do everything for me. I'll just make money out of it, all done. You know, but it's not that easy as it sounds. But but you don't.
Depends on whose video you listen to.
That's correct. But I see it as something that. If I would just sell on third-party marketplaces, it's not fulfilling that vision and mission that we have in this business. I do believe that if we're all here for a purpose, like there is a reason why we've been given life, and there is something we came here to do. And for me, even if it's not something I grew up to do, I didn't feel like, gardening is my thing. Entrepreneurship has always been my thing. Since I was a little girl, I always used to go and, make things big and manage projects, and I don't know. And for me, taking Chris' passion and also finding my passion with it, because I definitely have a strong passion in what we do, because otherwise I would not be here today. And deliver that to the world. And it's just giving you a reason to wake up every morning and realize you're not just here to make money, or you're not just doing that to. And I guess in the end of the day, like, we're investing heavily on the development of new products and finding ways to do things differently, and also make things easier for the customer and make sure they're succeeding. For me, if a customer failed in his garden, that's mean we failed big time.
Right.
And I don't know, if you just sell products for the sake of it, then how do you know you didn't ruin someone's experience completely as a gardener? Because if I sold you this product and they both do the same thing, and you put both of them in your garden at the same time, I just ruin your experience to be a gardener forever. And if we damage that as a business, that's mean that the whole purpose of selling those products is completely irrelevant.
Right.
So I think
how do you think
important.
we get people to become gardeners? Like, how do we persuade people out there?
Yeah, well, I think it's there is a few different levels for it. First of all, there is the people that love that. It's like the people that working in a customer success team, that's their passion, that's what they love, that's what they breathe gardening all the time. And that's one type of customers we always had. But there is many people out there that they go and they buy those organic produce from the health reasons. And I think there is a really important role for us as a business to show that you can become a gardener because it's easy. And
I think that's what it is. It's the filling the gap between, should I got to plant something, I got to wait a few weeks for it to grow, and then hopefully it's right, and then I can make it, versus now everything's just there ready for you. You can walk into a shop. But to your point, I think it's and whether people really care about this or not, I think it's important to discuss what you're saying, the journey to your plate.
Yes.
I think that's a really huge thing.
And I think, a lot of us, we're spending a lot of effort on recycling, for example. And this is a very important thing, but do we know the journey after that? Do we know what happened with that? Like for me, it's really important to know these things. And I think generally with the younger generation these days, they actually care. They actually want to know that a business has a vision. They want to know that, where is my food come from? They want to know that the cow that they're eating are actually being being grass-fed and not grain-fed. These things are important these days. People understand the impact of that on the world. And I think gardening is another thing that a lot of young people think, oh, well, but I'm renting. But I'm living with my parents, or I don't have money for now all this soil and gardening doesn't have to be in a very expensive budget. Like we are accommodating for DIY and for the full kit.
What's the starting cost for someone if they're like, I want to sort of dibble dabble in this stuff to start with?
Well, the cheapest hydroponic kit we have is around $125. We'll grow you 2 plants, but it will be completely automated, and you can add as many as you want for $60 on top of it. So you can start with a small, and that's the beauty of it. You can start with a small, say, oh, you know what, it's working for me.
What can I grow in that $120 kit?
Tomatoes and cucumbers.
Right. So how many will I get out of that?
So with tomatoes and cucumbers, you're probably looking on around a month until you get some rewards out of it. Same with cucumbers, but once they start harvesting, you get plenty. And it's also plants that keep delivering. You don't need to take a plant out and then put a new one. So once you put it in, they are growing themselves and giving you more and more and more fruit. With lettuces, I personally think that if you ever start a system, the first thing you need to grow is your lettuce, your kale, your herbs. And your greens, like the leafy greens are the easiest one. They grow within 3 weeks, and you can start cropping them from that. And it's the thing that have the most pesticides as well. So if you start with these, you're already done your
So you're reducing the pesticides. Okay, that makes
So I would definitely if you ever think on anything, I'll go with this first thing. It's the easiest, it's the quickest, and it's the things we use the most as well. We have a customer that grow. He reckoned they eat around 4 lettuces a day in the family. So we calculate
4 lettuces a day.
Yes. So we calculated
lettuce soup, lettuce sandwiches.
Well, I don't eat any bread. So for example, for me, when I want to eat a sandwich, I put everything in a lettuce. So here goes the whole lettuce.
And I'm sure a nice organic lettuce, like you said, the taste in it's very different. So it's really trying to bridge the gap of encouraging people to go taste this and see the difference. Right, is first and foremost, because again, people say they care about the environment, they say they care about sustainability and all that. I think that probably sits quite low on the totem pole, where if someone actually does get to experience the taste of something, for me, for example, is if I experience something firsthand, it's hard to ignore it. Right, it's easy to ignore people talking about it and the conversations around it, but when you actually experience it firsthand, and what I like about it is that, when you go through the list of excuses, I guess you would say for people, I said one earlier, I was like, oh, we live in an apartment now, and as soon as I said that, I was like, oh, dickhead, that'll fit on your apartment, out on the balcony, So there's really, it's just getting people started in it. So how are you as a business? Like, we're obviously sitting in your facility here, which has been massively reduced in size,
Yes.
right, from a walk-in customer perspective, and there's some really good reasons as to why that's happened, which we'll talk about. But how are you guys as a business like starting to get people to experience what it's like to be a gardener?
And that's an interesting conversation, because there is lots of different type of customers. There is the ones that come here because they seen aquaponics, for example, in Gardening Australia on the TV.
Right.
So they had the idea, or they saw it on YouTube, or they saw it somewhere, and then they come in to actually see how it works. They want to see how it's actually like, what is the, all the questions you asked me today about how does it actually work. You thought there is like soil underneath all that clay, and they really want to see that. So what we've done in the online aspect, we actually made animation videos to explain how the cycle works and how all this working. We created lots of tools to make it easy. So this is one type of customers that come to just, figure out how these things work.
So you got an online hub where you got resources and information,
videos,
about it. Cool.
like articles. We have calculators to make it easy. So for example, if you want to grow fish at home, but you never kept an aquarium before, it's a whole new industry to learn.
You don't just throw your fish in the
I know,
the water.
And one of the things that was very important for me when I started is you're testing the water, you feel like a scientist. And not everyone wants to feel like a scientist.
Yeah.
So we got some strips that you just dip in and you can tell the color, and then you go to the calculator on the website, say this color, this color, this color, this color. It's telling you this is what wrong, this is what good, this is what you need to buy, this is what you need to fix. So we took that guesswork away, so you don't need to be a scientist, you don't need to be aquaculturist, you don't need to be a fish keeper or a horticulturalist to actually do that. Yeah. And that's always been important for us. From day one, I was like, how do I make it to be easy enough for myself and for people like myself that want to have that good produce but don't want to invest in the too much learning or the scientific part of it. And then you have the customers that they are gardeners and they know what they want and they just want to try new methods. And then they come here because they want to learn about hydroponics and aquaponics, and they love trying and error. Yeah. And then there is the customers that we're trying to achieve to now, we try to attract now, is the customers that just, they don't know how to even start and they don't know how to grow. They understand all the benefits, or they care about growing my own, but they have all these barriers, like I'm renting, I live in an apartment, I don't have light. My soil doesn't grow anything in the garden. So this is the things that we're trying to address now and think, how can we take it an extra step to accommodate for those? So for the walk-in customers or the people that do reach out because they saw advertising or they had a video on YouTube from us, what we do is we actually start with thinking on what is the things you want to grow and why, and then think about the space you have. We even have a custom consultation that we have for on the website, so you can actually put pictures of your backyard or put the measurements of the areas you have. Cool. And then one of our guys will reach out and we'll actually have a conversation with you to really get the most out of what you want to do. And that's another thing that we used to do a lot in the store when we had the retail concept before, or more the supermarket concept. We used to find that people coming with like half-drawn designs or just what they want to do. And then you don't get enough time to really digest it. So creating this space was all about how do we get the time to really sit with that person and say, well, this is what you need to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is the plan, and this is what you need. Because otherwise, if you don't have the plan in place, or it's like in business, you need to have a goal. So the goal is I want to grow all the herbs for my tea, like we've done in the wall garden here. So why do I need to go and buy tea from the shops when I can just take it from the leaves and put it in my cup and put hot water in, like calma, like mint, like chocolate mint we just put in here. So having that in the wall garden just next to your kitchen, like what's...
It's effectively just like if you want to go build a house, you're going to go and get the plans drawn up, you're going to actually... And it's just changing the way that people look at gardening, right? Yes. I think that's the main key there, which is fantastic. You guys... do a fantastic job at it. I want to sort of shift gears a little bit. I'd like to talk to you about, as we're recording this, we're probably a couple of weeks out of COVID phase 1. Who knows? Who knows how many other phases there might be? But we're currently out of phase 1, and businesses, life has sort of started to open up a little bit more. But as a business owner, heading into, let's call it 1 week, 2 week prior to the whole lockdown around the country, what was going through your mind?
That was tough. It's probably, I would say, one of the toughest periods we had in business since we started. There was a lot of challenges, but this one was a complete challenge on the personal level, because there is all the things going on at home as well, and what I will do when things progress, and also the business. And you have the responsibility. We have a large team. You don't want to let anyone go. You want to make sure everything is ticking along. So what happened is that I'm originally from Israel. So when my sister told me that they just let go 6,000 people from her company that she managed, I was like, okay, something going to hit Australia very soon. I need to figure out what's going to be our plan.
So that hit Israel before Australia, did it?
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes.
How long before?
It was probably 3 or 4 weeks before COVID started to be a thing in here.
Right.
So I had a bit of
a side note here. You know Craig Schultz.
Yeah.
So January, and this is quite chilling when I think about it. In January, we ran our round of Digital Growth Summit events, and he goes, "Oh, I'm supposed to be in China next month, but I don't think I'm going to, because I'm hearing word that there's this really crazy virus that's happened."
Wow.
And this was a month before it even became anything. And he goes, "Yeah, it seems like it could be a really bad one." And I just sort of deregistered that. I was, "Oh yeah, okay, that's pretty crazy." And then it wasn't until he sent me a message. He goes, "Hey, remember when I was telling you about that virus?" I'm like, "Oh God, it's that one." So it was happening. It was happening well in early January, which was pretty crazy. But that was a bit of a side note. What were we talking about?
What happened when I figured out things
go back to that.
So when I saw what's going up there, I started to research and see what's going on around the world. And I got freaked out, because I thought, wait a second, I don't know if it will hit Australia or not, but I need to have a plan. And I'm not sure how it will even hit, what will happen in here, and how the government will also, what approach they will take.
Yeah.
And I basically sat down and made a 4 stages plan based on the stages of lockdown I saw happened elsewhere in the world. And I thought, well, first of all, is Aqua Gardening going to be an essential business? Is it in stage 1? Yes. Stage 2? Yes. Stage 3? We're pushing it. Will the online commerce be impact because of that? Will we have deliveries? Like all these things were started to go in my head. So, okay, let's say we're closing the store, but what will happen to the online? We will be able to ship things. What happened with our, worldwide shipping? That's been hit. Like we don't have a big proportion of the website delivering on overseas, not yet, but it is still something we do. We have a lot of people in Norfolk Islands, in Fiji, in the United States, Iceland. Like there is lots of places that buying certain things from us that we might not be able to supply. And we had a lot of packages actually coming back because of the lockdowns. So thinking about the whole picture and the whole aspect of the business. So the first thing, the approach I took was, okay, let's say we're closing the whole business. What do I do with the team in the spare time? Like, what are we going to do? So we started thinking about training programs and more videos that they can watch to increase their knowledge. Unfortunately, we didn't have much time to do until recently that we kind of been back on track, but we didn't have time for that plan.
Yeah. What do you mean you didn't have time for it?
We went crazily busy instead of actually being the worst case scenario that I was thinking we will have. So yes, the first plan was, okay, if we are completely shut down, we're just going to invest in that. But then you look at finance and you think, wait a second, I didn't plan for it. I didn't plan on having all of my team on, on a paid time just learning, because that's something we're doing along the way versus doing it as a concentrated time. So we started to think, okay, what will happen if there is no income? So we really start to plan the whole thing in all the different lockdown stages. And then COVID hit Australia, and I was like, okay, it's real, it's happening. We need to take some decide what we do. And I have to admit that staying on top of the regulations and what we can do and what we can't do, what we need, that's completely occupied me the whole time. Instead of running the business and think, okay, what we do, I was busy in, okay, where do we need to put hand sanitizer? Do we need to put mask? We don't need to put mask.
That was me for the first 3 weeks. It was absolutely exhausting.
Yes.
Because you're trying to listen to this, you're trying to listen to that. The government said something, then there's opposing information.
I know.
You're trying to take in information from America. You try, to try and create your own narrative, and it was exhausting.
It's exhausting. I didn't sleep at night, and I realized there was a big problem when, I started to eat trash, and I'm eating very healthy.
Yeah.
So for me to completely go away to trash food you order from even pizzas, I was like, I never eat pizza. I never eat carbs.
So
Why do I even?
I donated to Uber Eats a lot throughout that period.
And you realize, okay, I'm actually in stress, and I think the main problem I had as well is I have, you know, 2 toddlers at home, and what happens if daycare close? I need to run the business. If like you know, if we need to let go of people, what do I do with the kids? If both my husband and I are working in the business, and then Granny is out of the picture because, you know, COVID. So you start to get stressed in the personal level and think, what do you need to do in there? So I kind of closed myself almost for a whole day, and I said, okay, I'm just going to figure it out. So I had a plan for what we're doing with home. And what we doing, like in case daycare is closing, and what are we doing in the business in all different aspects. And when the government started to come with statements of what they're going to help businesses with, I realized because we are in growth business, we're not going to get anything. So I have 2 options: either completely close down, and that's probably the end of Aqua Gardening, or we're just going completely all in online. And that's what we've done. And it's been the best thing that ever happened to us, because you're kind of sitting there and need to make a choice, and it's a tough choice to make, because and then we realized that operational wise, COVID definitely made us realize there is so many faults that we never really seen before, and
it was the ultimate spotlight. I think for everyone in every area of life. So, you know, you touched on there, it's not just what are we going to do for business, it's like what am I actually going to do at home. You know, and the decisions you make with inside your business, it's going to affect every employee's home life as well. So there's
and you
many,
take that
many
into
factors.
account as well.
You have to. I think that's the what you have to take on as a leader in any type of organisation. You know, so if you're a solopreneur, you go, oh, I'm just going to put my feet up for a couple of months here and have a bit of a break.
When COVID hit, I was like, oh, why it's not just like one person business?
But I was saying this to you before we were recording. Is I secretly really like that. Like I love the challenge. You know, I think the best comes out of me when we're in situations like this. I was doing a podcast the other day, with Taki, a friend of mine, and I said to him, you know, what did you learn about yourself through this period? You know, and he goes, he learnt that there was a leader within inside of him that he didn't know existed. You know, and this guy's a really switched on dude, great leader and so forth. But I think it's not until these crazy situations that are just so uncertain that it does bring out the best in all of us. It can also bring out the worst in some, if you're that way inclined. But, you know, I think, like I was saying, I secretly really enjoy the solving of the problem that has just been presented. In this case, it happened to be a worldwide pandemic.
I think in general, like a lot of entrepreneurs are enjoying, like pure entrepreneurs, they're really enjoying the that stress mode when things changing. Like I personally love it as well. Like if you all tell me now, let's just look at the whole thing and see how we're pivoting through it. I was like, oh my God, you just gave me like the best thing ever.
Well, that's exactly what you guys did, right? Like you were predominantly more focused on the store here, right? And the reason why you've literally cut your storage or your in showroom down by what you'd have to say.
It's like 500 square meters, and now there is only, I don't know, maybe 100 square meters here.
So you had to increase your storage capacity by at least 300 square meters to keep up with
the change,
extra sales. And that was purely, and for you, you know, I mean, you know, you came on board with us. How long before?
February.
Right.
So it's like just a second before it's all started.
I was just saying to you earlier, it's the start of the year's gone quick, but it's already the middle of the year, so it's not even the start anymore. So you came on just before February, which is crazy timing when you think about it like that. To then be sitting there going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We're going to have to put our entire team on training, and what, you know, how are we going to figure this out? One thing though that I'll give you credit for, obviously creating the plan. Funny though, you can look back and go, well, that was all a waste of time, wasn't it? So you guys didn't shut, right?
We didn't shut the store.
You didn't?
Yeah, but we didn't shut the business. So the operation of the business has been going the whole time. We had a few people working from home, but the majority of the team working here while we're trying very hard to keep measures in place.
How, you know, like a big narrative that I've been trying to preach of late is the value of marketing in a business, right? And I mean, I'm biased because I come from a marketing place. So I've built all my businesses marketing first, right? Because I feel if you don't have anyone who's attracted to what you've got, or anyone putting up their hand, then you've got nothing anyway, right? So you could be the best kept secret. But how has this whole entire situation, if it has at all as well, like changed your perception on the value of marketing in any business?
It's very interesting because I'm exactly the opposite than you. I don't think marketing is first. I think you need to get the product to market fit first to make sure that you know who is your customers, because I don't think the marketing campaign can be very, very successful if you not 100% know what are you standing for, what is your brand, if the products are actually matching the customer.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why we never done marketing. Because
See,
I never felt
I see
like
marketing
we had it
as that. Right,
Yeah.
marketing to me all is inclusive of product to market.
Okay,
fit,
so in
right?
that aspect, we definitely invested heavily in marketing but without the paid advertising.
Sure.
We will separate those two. So paid advertising is something that we never had. We never wanted to really get into much because we didn't felt like we had it all knotted down to really expose ourselves for the newer sort of customers. The people that already kind of wanted to get into the industry, they found us. Like, you know,
Right.
we had the leading website, you could always find us.
Yeah.
And that was not the hard challenge for us in a very raw industry. But sorry, can we go back to the main question? Because
The value of marketing, just the value of marketing in a business.
So with the value of marketing, I think that what we realized that we always thought we reached to the capacity, but the
Yeah.
capacity is not necessarily the capacity you think you reached. And doing those paid marketing in, of course, the right time with our brand and with what we achieved so far, allow us to realize that the potential of our brand is endless. Like, we realize that as long as we put the focus on the customer success and we back it up with the products that we have, then the marketing is what enables us to go everywhere. Like, there is no limit for these 4 walls we have in here. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to put all the focus in Brisbane. So that's the power of that. It's basically changing your whole business. You realize, wait a second, I can reach to the people in Perth, and I can, you know, with diversity a little bit, I can be talking to these guys in South Australia, and the fact that I'm not there, it doesn't really matter because I'm there on the phone. And marketing allow you to really be in front of those people and show them that you have the solution and you have the service for what they need. So yeah, that's something that I always thought we were in full capacity until I met you, to be honest. Like, until I realized, well, wait a second, there is a room for, you know, trying something else. And
well, I think what it is it's as a business owner, you know, your ability to see something bigger than what it is only limited by your current beliefs of what you believe to be true, right? So I can easily sit down with you and go, oh, you could be spending $100,000, $300,000 a month in advertising. Yeah, now you would. Now you're like, oh yeah, let's do it. Because you understand the value of investment and what the return is. That's really what it is. And I've been obviously singing that song sheet for a number of years, because back in I got to experience this in 2008-9 when Facebook sort of came out, and I was like, oh my God, I can be spending $1,000 a day and make 10. You know, like, and to me, you know, coming from where I've come from, my background, that was just, I just couldn't fathom the ability for that to even happen. You know, and I mean, a number of our other clients, it's the ability to, you could literally be doing millions a month in sales, and a lot of it is governed by, well, majority is governed by the marketing. But you're right in the sense that you've got to have a good product to market fit, or you'll quickly be exposed. You know, like I said to Robbie, so Robbie Turner from Axon, I said to him before he came on board with us, I was like, mate, we're going to either blow up your business or we'll blow up your business. As in, we'll expose it, and what I mean by that is you'll know quickly whether or not you're supposed to be in business, right? They've got an amazing product market fit. You guys obviously have an amazing product market fit as well. But it's changing the mindset of what we believe to be true with marketing, you know, and the capacity for your business to grow is purely, and again, I'm very lucky to be able to talk with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. The thing that I always see most that stops people from growing is their own limiter that they put on.
100%.
You know?
I've been this year on a massive growth journey myself, realizing that the only person that's holding this business back is certain beliefs that I have. Doing this video, and now if you ask me a year ago, I probably would say no, because my English is not good enough or whatever. Like there was many beliefs out there that I would say, no, I don't want to be in the front of the business. I'll be in the background, leading it from there. Yeah. And now it's exactly the opposite, because I managed to go through myself and say, okay, well, this is actually a problem. It's holding me back. Let's figure it out so I can lead my team in a better way. In general, I think that, especially now growing a lot this year in a personal level, I think that there is unlimited to what you can do. And the more you realize that, the more creative you get and the more innovative you get, and you realize, well, I can do this and I can do that. And every time now, before I say the word no, we can't, I think about, okay, no, we can't with this current system, but how we can with what else is in the market.
Absolutely.
So yes, this shop was not able to accommodate for the growth that we can get with our marketing campaigns, but now we can, because we invested in our warehousing system, we changed our business model so we can reach more people. And yes, that's correct, I would not able to do that 3 months ago, but now I can. And I could come and say, oh no, I can't do that. No, this is my limit, but if you go in that path, then you will never grow your business. And that's okay for certain people, that this is what they want, and that's fine. Yep. But we're not in here to just run a small business. We're here to make an impact. And to make an impact, you need to make sure that everyone knows that. You need to make sure that you can reach more people. And the only way to do that is with marketing. Yeah. So there's definitely, I think, a lot less holding myself back, what enabled my team to grow more as well.
That's exactly it. So I feel it's my obligation as a human being to grow personally as much as I possibly 100%. Can, because that just filtrates through the entire business, and people can, it's that whole lead by example, right? And people can see growth, people can feel growth. I'm a big conversation. I like to have conversations around energy and the ability of what energy can do and how it can transfer from one person to another. And I feel as leaders in organisations, and even in your own communities or even in your own household, it's an obligation for you to be able to lead by example, so then people can see and witness how you lead. So I know a lot of people who, through this COVID situation, freaked out, started laying people off, and just almost running for the hills like it was dire straits. But it was like, if I'd have been doing that, running around the office freaking out, it wouldn't have been good for anyone, right? Because then that gets passed all the way through. Your employees then, are going to be seeing that. Then they're going to go home and they're going to freak out. They're going to freak out their family.
And that's hurting their performance as well. And
exactly. And then the clients end up losing out, and then there's no business because we don't have clients, and it's just a cataclysmic bloody collision, right? What did you learn about yourself through this? What do you think?
Well, there was a lot of things I could do better. In general, I know. I think for me, during the COVID, because I was almost mentally prepared a few weeks before my employees got it. So imagine if a business owner had it in the same moment, got the news as his teams as well, then it's a little bit harder. And I think that mental preparation I had before my employees was actually really good, because when things started to warm up a bit here in the news, I already had a plan. So the team felt like she got it.
Thanks for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
Pretty
it's
early.
Like, you
didn't share the plan with me early.
No.
You didn't give me a heads up.
Sorry, I didn't.
I had to take the grenade with everyone.
I'm sorry, have to admit
you
that
actually had some inside scoop.
I was so focused on just the business in the past few months that I even in a level completely ignored even my kids, my family. I was just so focused on this, and even balancing. You have these thoughts that coming up with, I can't go visit my family, and I plan to do that this year. I didn't see them for 2 years. What happened if I will never see my family? And all of these start to run in your head. But you need to lead a team in here, and you need to communicate to your customers. That was the biggest falls I had during COVID. Is I don't feel like we fully communicated with the customer all the way. We done it a lot better towards the end, but I was so busy in keeping everything functioning, so we're not completely losing Aqua Gardening, that we forgot that customers need to be on board as well with what's going on. Yeah. And I guess in a way, the customer we found enough solutions to keep them engaged. And I guess the fact that one of the reasons why we closed the doors was that we needed to make sure that even the Brisbane customers that can't come in because they are self-isolating, they still can get the support they need over the phone. And if we had the store open, there was no one that would be available to even take those phone calls and support those people from home. So the choice to close the store was mainly to how do we make sure everyone treated equally in this time, and not just the people that come in here because it's more urgent because they're physically here. So that was the main reason for closing the store, not because COVID forces us to close the store. The store was busy enough to stay open. But another thing that made us to close is that the team didn't feel safe anymore because it was still very...
It was so uncertain, right? No one knew. I mean, there was a moment where I actually, probably the first time in my entire life actually, where I actually had probably extreme raised levels of concern, where I was like, holy shit, this thing... I had to stop watching the news for the first 2 weeks. Well, at least the probably first week I was like watching the news all the time, right? And literally almost to the point where I'd have the news on in the background and I'm like, I'm waiting for the next update.
I was like 1 a.m. scrolling my phone and get for information.
And it's crazy. And I'm looking, I'm downloading all the apps and looking at the death rates every day in all the countries. And I'm looking at them like, okay, where's the predictability of this and that? And I was fucking doing my own head in, right? I was going a little bit crazy. So what did you learn about yourself? I sidetracked you there.
You said that.
Don't blame me, that was your fault. We'll wrap up with that too, because I know you've got to rock and roll, but what did you learn about yourself? What's the biggest takeaway for you?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that I'm really good with big challenges like that. I can definitely lead my team in a calm way when it's come to those big challenges, giving me the assurance that when the company grows, I can definitely be a good leader. And as the biggest takes I took from what I done wrong in that whole situation is definitely the communication with the customer, as I mentioned. I think the customer definitely need to be understanding what's going on in the business in the same level that your internal team understanding, and that's something that I completely fucked up. So, so the biggest thing I learned about myself is that I'm really good as a leader. In the same note, I'm also very, I make the decision, and that was actually really challenging because you want to make the decisions and just cascading it down. But then you kind of want to hear the team opinion as well, to know what's going on with them. But when you have a big team, you can't really have the one-on-ones in this very stressful situation when you think, wait, I can't have one-on-one and figure out what everyone feels like now, because I don't have the ability
there's sometimes
to do that.
you're going to be in battle and you can't ask for everyone's opinion before you run from something. There are times where, as the leader, you need to take that upon yourself and go, I've got to wear all of this. I appreciate everyone's thoughts and opinions around this, but here's what has to happen.
And I think that was hard for me because in general, the way we work at Aqua Gardening is that we do hear the employees' opinions at all time. Like all of this concept was based on feedback we got from the team and from the customer. So taking that approach in the leadership of like, this is what I say we're doing and this is the plan, and that plan is not being contributed by the team at all, was very hard for me. But in the same note, I feel like I'm really good with that. It's actually my comfort zone to just be solely going with my own way and just cascading it down. It's not the way I want to run business though. So, but you in stressful situations, moving.
Well, you make those decisions still based off what you already know about your team and collectively. So when we made certain decisions, it was like, we could almost predict how each person would probably react to it. And the majority of the team would be, and from my perspective, are just confident in the fact that we're confident. You know, when there's a world of absolutely uncertain times and no one knows, the person you're going to follow is the person who's the most confident in a situation.
I have a lot of problems with my dog at the moment, and that's taught me a massive lesson about leadership. Because the reason why my dog, she's a tiny baby, but the reason why she's a little bit messed up is because she's the leader of the pack, because I'm not the leader.
Absolutely.
And I got a trainer in, and she said to me, just need to become a leader. If you're the leader, she will just follow you, she will remove all of this stress from her shoulders, and she will just do what she's been told. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm doing it in my business, but I'm not doing it with my dog. And when you realize that concept, you realize, okay, I got it. I can be the leader.
Our pugs run over Emily. Emily does everything for them, and they don't listen to her when I'm around, because they'll just come over to me because I'm the leader of the pack. And it's not because I want to be the boss. It's because I've been able to, position myself in such a way that I will gain a level of respect from them, because everything is in a hierarchical order. No matter
Yes.
which way you look at it, it's how you determine to spread that energy through that hierarchy that
Exactly.
matters.
And to see that nature behave that way.
Yeah.
And then realizing that we are nature as well, and we need to behave that way. It's actually with plants as well. If you put something like tomatoes next to a basil, then the tomatoes will take over because they're a bigger plant and they're the leader of that area. Anyway, same with like the dogs, how they have their hierarchy and we have ours. It's really interesting to see it, and it's really gave me a perspective like on the whole, past few months in general. I also done a lot of investigations of the leader of the world and tried to learn how they took the leadership approach with the countries, and see what New Zealand done, what we're doing, what US doing, and it's really giving there is no doubt that the whole world now watching the leaders of the world, and you see how they behave, and the way that people choosing the next leaders will be on can they handle a situation like that in the future, yes or no, and that will be the leaders of the future.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting for me to not just look at my leadership in these times, but also looking at other leaderships and see what I'm taking from each one of them in their leadership way.
Yeah.
So that was really, I don't know, it was really interesting times in the past few months. You learn a lot on yourself, and you realize that you stress very easily, but you still need to calm it down and project like everything is all good and you have it sorted, but you don't really.
Yeah, look,
But,
who really has it all sorted anyway, right? It's
No, you
just
don't.
your ability to go, I'm going to step up, I'm going to, do what I've got to do to get through this. And look, we're here. You got to, next week, is it?
We're hoping to open Monday.
Opening on Monday.
Still more operational challenges to make it perfect, but
It'll work itself out. But you've done an amazing job here, and look, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to hang out here for the day. And I know you've got to jump off here. You got to go do some actual work now. But look, absolute pleasure, and really looking forward to obviously sharing this vision much more, and being able to help you guys achieve what you want to achieve. So you've done an amazing job
we
here.
will. I think as long as you have a vision in place, you will achieve it eventually. So
There you go.
just
All right.
a few years
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.